Brands need stories that connects with its audience. Your brand story needs a solid connection with reality. In his keynote, we look at the anatomy of a great marketing story as we unpack the various elements of what makes a story truly great and memorable. Bruce Wade speaks, consults, and coaches on a strategic narrative methodology based on the 7 principles of sustainable innovation. He believes in engineering strategic stories that speak to and develop a sustainable and profitable ecosystem to include all stakeholders. With 15 years of corporate followed by 25 years of experience in entrepreneurship, Bruce has authored over 20 books on various subjects related to developing fiscal sustainability through entrepreneurship development. He is an entrepreneur, professional speaker and the past president of the Professional Speaking Association of Southern Africa. Please welcome Bruce Wade with his presentation on the story behind the story.
My definition of marketing, I used to use this analogy that marketing is like wiping your bum. You know it needs to be done. You think everyone else is doing it, but nobody teaches you the techniques. And I think that still holds true for a lot, but it's so nice to see a full room of people interested in marketing, because I think people are beginning to wake up and realize that the interaction between brand and customer is so critical that it is. But my definition of marketing is still, it's just the manipulation and movement of money, isn't it? Because you're still accountable for the ka-ching at the end of it. It don't matter what you wear or how beautiful your office is and how many ball pools and tattoo parlors you have and how wonderful and freaky your hair is and how colorful your appearance is. You're still accountable for those awesome acronym called KPI. So let's do a little bit about my favorite saying, what if, okay? What if we could change marketing? What if marketing wasn't about metrics and about the content and about all this other stuff and about measurement, and we go completely apeshit and ballistic about trying to get as much information out to put on a fancy pie chart to report to people because we think if our numbers are going up, then we're going to do better. And may I suggest that maybe marketing has got nothing to do with metrics. Okay. Apologies to all the speakers who are going to come after me and talk about metrics. But what if the world was different? What if all we had to do was tell a good story? And may I introduce you to a little bit of my life. My other job description is story engineer. I was asked by someone in Vancouver the other day, where did you go to engineering school to call yourself story engineer? And I said, well, the life of hard knocks. And apparently in Canada, you can't just call yourself an engineer because you've got to be inducted into the engineering society because of formal education. Now I'm going, well, okay, clearly I'm not going to be speaking in Canada anymore. So that's fine. It's too damn cold there and a long flight. So let's play around with this. I run a series of marketing workshops, and we pull in all those emotional stories, and we tell people on how to tap into things, and I'm going to give you a model out of that workshop to utilize and implement. And a while ago, I'm sitting there running this workshop, and it's a small group. There's about 20 people in the room. So we put everyone in a nice U shape, and we sit there and we go around the room like we do and go to introduce yourself. And and what I'm doing is I'm trying to gather information about how hard my day is going to be. So the first group of people, they say, we're from Sunflower Foundation. I was going, oh, that's an easy sell, okay? Sunflower Foundation is all about bone marrow transport. Now, if you want to find emotional stories, that's it, 101, okay? You can go there and you can know even their worst story will make you cry because they are amazing, all right? They save lives of children because you put your hand up and said, I'm willing to be a donor. of bone marrow, okay? I'm too old to do that anymore, but encourage you to sort of get your name on the list because you can save a life of a child and you can like put it on your CV and be part of a really good story. So I was happy with them. My Sunflower Foundation, I go, that's tapes. 3 women from that. That's going to be an easy sell. My job is easy. The next person was, there were 2 ladies there, then marketing department from MChem. Now, if you live in the northern suburbs, you'll know MChem. It's a 24-hour pharmacy just off the N1 and Durban Road, and they're open literally 24 hours a day, all the time. You can go there 3 o'clock in the morning with your baby who's like screaming, and they'll sort you out. You can go there and buy crutches at 1 o'clock in the morning because you fell down the stairs. I go, yeah, done that. And they're really good. They've got like coffee shops, they've got a travel clinic and stuff there. Now, they were telling me all these stories, and it's great. And their adverts were pretty much, you know, hi, I'm Mr. M, and we open 24 hours, and we've got 14 pharmacies, and we do this, and it's really wonderful. And we've got 4 departments. And I was going like, oh my goodness, we can do so much better than that. And we're going there. So I was going, okay, my day's easy. And we went through a couple of others. And right at the end of the room was this young lady, probably early 20s, if that. And she's sitting there very quiet. And I was going like, yeah, and what do you here? Well, I work for my dad. And I was asked to do the marketing for her. And I'm here as the marketing department of my dad's company. So I'm going like, yeah, what do you sell? And she goes, concrete blocks. And I was going, oh, shit, my day just got harder. Because what on earth can you do sell concrete block? So if you're all in the marketing department, be grateful that you do not work for a company that sells gray, inanimate blocks that you chuck in the garden and then cover up with flowers. But at the end of the day, her story, her marketing campaign brought tears to every single one in the room. And I thought to myself, my goodness, we're onto something good here. Because if I can sell concrete blocks using emotions and using a good story, then I can sell anything. And we've gone on to use this formula over and over again and sell pretty much anything and play in a world that is really good. Playing in that intangible space and doing marketing where metrics are almost irrelevant, as is the price of the product. And I hope to be able to teach people so they can market that the negotiation around price never, ever comes into the factor of the sale, because then your marketing is done right. So on one side, we've got our product and our service, and we define that with all the features and benefits and the bobs and all that sort of stuff there, and we put that together in a product matrix. Okay? You've got to understand your product because you can't sell something that you don't understand. So the marketing department's got to actually have lunch with the engineers every now and then. Okay? So go make friends with a product developer and things very hard to push a product in today's market. You always want a pull. So defining that, getting that sorted out is much better. And what we want is we want those famous R's. We want referrals, reviews, and raving fans, okay? Because that is our sales, okay? That's where we're after, and that's what the sales is all about, and that's the area that we want to play, and we want to start drawing people in there, because sales, we can report on our matrix, can't we? But you can see there's this big gap in the middle, okay? And that's really nice because it's all about there, and we can measure all our referrals and our reviews and the raving fans and the matrix, and we can measure on the stuff there, and we got our product sitting way over on the other side. And then there's a whole echo, crickets in the middle. Okay, so let's fill in those crickets and what we want. Now, Emma's speaking here. She says the money is in the memory. And I was going like, I want that slide. So there it is that people will only refer and rave and review if they remember. If you want a good story to sit and you want the referrals and the reviews and the raving fans, you've got to elicit memory. Because memory is where the money sits. And that's what people want. I want you to remember my brand. I want you to talk about my brand. I want you to live my brand. And we come up with all these things, cradle to grave and blah, 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 and all these wonderful things. But if people are not talking about your brand, they are never, ever going to expand, because you can push out all the content you want. The best content you want is coming from your raving fans with reviews. I'm going to tell you about it, because if I tell you about a brand that I'm not paid to do, all right, it's worth 100% credibility. But if I get paid to speak about the brand, okay, then it's completely different. Then I'm doing it for my own gain. And you as marketers are paid to talk about the brand that you love. How many of you rave about your brand that you paid to do when you're at a family braai? Okay, you're lucky. Most people go, I don't want to talk about work. It's Friday, damn Friday, 5 o'clock. We don't talk about work till Monday. Okay, so let's fill in that gap there. Let's do that. It's a product experience, and more we're moving into the experiential market. I used to talk about this for years, and then we had this stupid thing about COVID, and it took that experience and it like flushed it down the toilet. And now we're slowly getting back. We're filling up the rooms. People are going out there. The wine farms are full again in Cape Town, and people are looking for experiences. We're looking for that engagement that enlightens us, and we want to do that. So far, we don't want to get more nor that. And really interesting stat that came out is all these streaming services, they're all like closing down. Okay? BritBox, gone. Why? Because people are out doing experience. We don't want to sit and go looking at the little screen anymore. And I'm going, maybe there's hope for humanity, because we're actually outliving streaming services. Added onto the experience is this thing called feeling and emotions, all right? Touchy-feely, intangible stuff. Now, I dare you to go to your CEO and go like, we want to introduce some feeling and emotion into our brands. How does that work on your balance sheet, sir? But it's interesting is that this is where it is. But it's interesting. Now, what is a connection? There's still this big gap in the middle here. So if we look at human physiology and the way the brain works, so quickly, a little study about the brain. Your brain is an inbox, okay? And during the day, you get all the stuff in your in tray that goes all the time. From when you first wake up, your in tray's been filled up. Now, some of us are brain fit and some of us not so brain fit. So sometimes a tray falls over and it all falls on the floor, and we're like, oh, right, let's start again. And we fill it up. And all day we're filling up our in tray, all right? And when we sleep at night, we go into a deep sleep, and there's a section of our sleep we call REM, okay? The REM sleep. And what that does is it takes your in tray and it files it into all the different filing compartments. All right, very basically, brain 101, okay? So if you don't sleep, your in tray overflows and you go insane. They've said 4 days no sleep, insanity. So it's interesting there is that you've got to have that experience with an emotion. So a job that I do is we sit down and say, tell me the emotions of your business. Tell me the emotions of your brand. So we go back to brand description. And just ponder for yourself there a few things. Write down 5 different emotions that your brand is offering your clients. You want to be able to define that emotion, and you want to be able to list it. It should be on the mission statement of your company to say, we invoke confidence, security, reliability, safety. Okay? And all of a sudden, you've got an emotional value set linked to your brand. And that's really interesting. But imagine designing an emotional map that overlays your product motion. And that's where we've got to do. And then we start playing around with our 5 senses. Research says we actually have 36 different emotions, senses that we have. So we've said just the 5 senses. We actually have 36 senses like spatial and balance and all these things. And we bring all those into where we are. And what I suggest that you do is we start playing around with this stuff, and we connect the feelings and emotions with memories. Memories are the filed stuff after REM sleep, because you cannot remember the in tray, you can only recall stuff that's filed. If you cannot remember, it's either because you didn't file it, or you, like me, you lost the key to the filing cabinet, which happens the older we get. And the greater the emotional impact and the greater the sense recovery of that emotion, the deeper the memory. So that is the connection. You've got to embed your feeling and experience across all 5 senses. Now, if you sell concrete blocks, it's a little bit harder. Because you can't say, oh, concrete blocks taste, right? Okay. But that's your challenge. That's why you're in the marketing department, is to play around with that. So I suggest that you do that and you play in those areas. So that is the model. You may now take a picture of that and implement that into your organization, because that is the narrative marketing, story engineering place to go and play around there. And it works both ways. And we can implement that into anything. If I can sell concrete blocks, I can sell pretty much anything. So one of the companies, the brands that I work with, is a wonderful thing, very close to my heart, because I've been rescued 3 times by them. I'm alive and standing on the stage today because of the NSRI, because I like to push the boundaries and do stupid shit in the ocean. And with us, so we're working with them to help them improve their branding, because they're really good, but they can be a lot better. But I've seen recently that they played in this whole space. If you go to their website, it's very clinical, it's very reportive, and it's very KPI-ish. So I want to read, this is not a true story, but it's a copy of a true story that we have off their website. It's called the NSRI Incident Report. Okay, very exciting. And it reads briefly, on Sunday, the 3rd of August at 3 p.m., we got a call from the emergency center that there was a yacht experiencing issues approximately 2 miles southeast of Cape Point. Okay, tick point, tick, tick, tick. We activated both Simonstown and Cape Town rescue units, which deployed both land and sea teams. Okay, the wind was a moderate 50 knots south-southeast. By 1600, it had increased to 25 knots, and the sea state was rough with 10-meter swells off Komaki Lighthouse. The team from Simonstown were unable to continue. There's drama here, okay? Okay, because of the dreadful sea conditions, so we put them into the shelter of Smitswinkel Bay. That's that little bay just before you get to Cape Point Gate. Okay, and Rescue 1 continued to monitor the situation as they made their way out to sea. Rescue 1's the one here in the waterfront. Okay, by 17:30, a distress call was received by all stations that the yacht was taking on water and beginning to sink. They told us that 4 crew members were abandoning the yacht and taking to their life raft. Rescue 1 arrived at the scene at 18:03 and began to search for the life raft and crew. 2 crew members were found together with a raft and were taken on board. The search continued for the other crew members who had been washed out of the raft by a rogue wave. At 18:30, the 2 crew members were found and retrieved unhurt, but close to hypothermia. The team returned to Cape Town Port at 20:32, and the crew members were transported to hospital for observation. Please support us. Okay. So what we did, we taught them this whole formula, and we got to play around with it. This is how the story reads now. Last weekend, Colin Smythe and his family fired up the bride to celebrate his 50th birthday. Members of his family had flown in from around the country for the occasion. Whilst his brother attended to the sizzling steaks on the grill, Colin played cricket with his twin sons, Jared and James, whilst Emily helped her mom in the kitchen with the salads. So typical South Africanism. Okay? It was not too long ago that Colin was invited by some of his school buddies to go sailing. Okay? The yacht got into some trouble just off Cape Point, but all 4 of them were experienced yachtsmen. Okay? The wind picked up and they started to drift further from land, creating further issues. The water started to gush in to the identified crack in their hull. The experience told us to stay away, never leaving a floating vessel until necessary. The emergency message was sent out, and they were forced to leave the stricken yacht for the small life craft. They sat huddled, cold and wet in the raft as they shared their final wishes and greetings to their family members. The raft was capsized and rolled over, and Colin and another friend were washed out. Colin tied himself to his mate as they surfaced, unable to find the life raft, and started to consider how terrible a way this is to die. Then, through the waves and the spray, Colin saw a flash of orange. The NSRI boat had arrived. Colin and so many others like him get to live another day with their families because they have been rescued by our team at the NSRI. If you want to help, please support us to do the same for others. Okay, I have a book giveaway, The Architect of a Great Story. If you want one, you've got to stand on your chair and sing the national anthem backwards. But no, I'm going to do the Oprah thing. Everyone gets a book, everyone gets a book. So if you pull out your phone and scan that, you can download a manual on how to create a really good story. My name is Bruce Wade, and if you want to get hold of me, you can come and book a chat. I'd love to come and help you tell your stories and sell concrete blocks in your business if you want to. Thank you very much.